All right, let's just jump right in. There's this story we've all been hearing about AI and robots, and let's be honest, it usually sounds like a bit of a horror story. But what if that whole story is just plain wrong? Today, we're going to tear down that fear and look at a reality that's way more powerful and, well, way more collaborative. It really all kicks off with this feeling, this anxiety about automation. You know the one. This idea that super smart machines are coming and our jobs are directly in their crosshairs. It's a worry that's really hard to shake. So let's just ask the question straight up. Is your job safe? This is the question that's kind of buzzing in the back of everyone's mind, right? And it's the perfect place for us to get started. Yeah, the big fear, the story we all hear, is that this next wave of automation is simply going to make us obsolete. It's a narrative of replacement, of people versus machines. But a handful of the most innovative companies out there, they're telling a completely different story. They're throwing in a major plot twist, a collaborative twist. See, instead of pitting humans against AI, they're building these incredible partnerships that are totally transforming their businesses and really changing the whole game of innovation. And this slide really says it all. The old way of thinking? A battle, a zero-sum game for jobs. The new reality, though, is all about partnership. It's a force multiplier where human smarts and artificial intelligence work together and make each other better.
Look at the NFL. They had this impossible problem, trying to manually search a video library that grows by almost 700 hours every single season. The answer wasn't to fire their staff, it was to have their experts teach the AI what to look for. So the AI does the grunt work of searching, but it's the humans who provide the brain power and the direction. And the results of thinking this way? They are absolutely staggering. Research from Accenture shows that companies embracing this human-AI collaboration, they're growing their revenue at twice the speed of companies who don't. And get this, the top 10%, the ones who are all in, they're growing 5 times faster. So this isn't some feel-good theory, it's a massive competitive edge.
So you might be asking, okay, that's great for them, but how does any company actually do this? Well, it turns out there's a blueprint for it. It's called the Ideas Framework, and it's basically a guide for weaving all these different pieces of technology together.
This framework breaks down exactly how to build an engine for innovation that keeps people, humans, in the driver's seat. It's built on 5 key ingredients.
And here they are: intelligence, data, expertise, architecture, and strategy. Ideas. It's a simple acronym, right? But let's dig into how each part actually works in the real world.
Because let's be real, a framework is just a bunch of letters until you see it in action. So we're going to look at how some of the top companies are putting each of these 5 ideas to work to solve some pretty huge challenges.
Okay, first up is I for intelligence. This is all about realizing that human and artificial intelligence aren't competitors, they're partners. AI is amazing at finding patterns in mountains of data, but think about this. Even a 1-year-old baby has a better gut feeling for context than the most powerful computer. The goal is to make AI collaborate more like a human. Now check this out. At a German electronics company called Obita, their warehouse robots were, they were terrible, only reliable about 15% of the time. But then the human workers started teaching them, giving them feedback. And the result? Their reliability shot up to 95%. The humans weren't replaced, they became robot trainers.
Next up, D is for data. You see, winning today isn't just about having tons of data, it's about setting it free. When McDonald's was facing tough competition, they completely turned things around by breaking their data out of all these old, isolated systems. They used it to personalize orders, predict what people would want based on weather or even sports games, and ended up outperforming most of the S&P 500.
Which brings us to E for expertise. And honestly, this is where the real magic happens. Your own employees are your most valuable, untapped resource. There's this concept called machine teaching, where you let your experts, the people who actually know your business inside and out, transfer their own knowledge directly to the AI.
Etsy is such a perfect example of this. How in the world do you teach a machine a totally subjective idea like aesthetic style? Well, you let your human merchandisers do it.
They created all these style labels that train the AI. So when the pandemic hit, this system helped people find masks that actually matched their personal style, and Etsy's revenue more than doubled. That was human expertise just scaled up by AI.
All right, next is A for architecture. You just can't run this kind of new, flexible software on old, clunky systems. Companies like L.L.Bean figured out their old mainframes were just holding them back. By switching to a modern, cloud-based architecture, what you could call a living system, they could adapt on the fly and give customers the kind of seamless experience everyone expects now.
And that brings us to the final letter, S, for strategy. Here's the thing. In the world we live in now, your technology strategy and your business strategy aren't two separate things anymore. They have to be the same thing, woven together from the very beginning. Because let's face it, every company is a tech company now.
And what can you do when that strategy and tech are perfectly in sync? Look at this number, 5 minutes. That's all the time it takes for Ocado, the biggest online grocer in the world, to pick and pack a 50-item order. It's this beautiful symphony of AI-guided robots and human supervision, and it just shows how incredibly powerful this fusion really is. So, when you put all these ideas together, what does our future actually look like? It's not some cold, automated place. It's something way more exciting, a radically human future.
The entire story just flips. We have to stop thinking about this as a battle of humans versus machines. The real opportunity, the reality that's playing out right now in the most successful companies, is one of humans leading machines.
And this is really the bottom line. Moving forward, the most successful companies won't be the ones with the flashiest robots. They'll be the ones who are best at using the intelligence, the creativity, and the expertise of their people to guide those machines.
Which really just leaves us with one final question. This isn't just about big companies. It's a whole new way of thinking about technology and our place in it. The tools are here. The playbook is getting clearer every day. The only real question left is, how will you lead the way?